Well, I had a friend that I used to trail ride with, and he's a veterinarian doctor from up in Kirksville, Missouri. And he raised Pasofino horses, and he got into raising Pasofino mules. And I used to go up there to trail ride with him because they had some great places to trail ride. And when I was up there, we'd ride in the morning, and then we'd go back. His wife would make us lunch, and then he'd say, well, I've got so many mules to ride. He says, how about riding one of my Pasofino mules for me? Help me out. And oh, okay, John, I'll help you out. And we'd go back out riding for the afternoon, and we'd be riding these Pasofino mules. And I had been riding Tennessee Walkers, and anyway, I thought, man, this is really a nice ride. You know, I liked the way it rode. I liked the just the way it handled. Really a nice mules. And anyway, I just got to the point. I thought, you know, I'm gonna buy one of these mules. So I didn't buy a Pasofino mule, but I went out and bought my first mule, and I went through 2 or 3 at a time over the, you know, when I first started, before I found what I was really looking for. And I'm into gaited mules. I like gaited mules. I like a nice smooth ride. What I liked the way a mule handled. I like the way they think, and they're just different. They're not for everyone, but I thought they were for me. So anyway, I started riding mules, and after a year or so, I just turned around and got rid of my my walking horses, and I had a foxtrotter too. Sold them and just started riding mules, and started learning more and more about the mules from different people and that. So anyway, it was an adventure that I have really enjoyed. I like training the mules. Of course, to me, I like training just as much as I like trail riding. And I like getting inside an animal's head and seeing what makes them tick, what motivates them, how you can get them to, you know, do a certain thing. And anyway, I enjoyed that. I've been that way since I was a kid with dogs, you know, bird dogs, things like that. So I really enjoyed that part of the mule world. But like I said, mules aren't for everybody because they have to think things through. They're not like a horse where they're going to respond immediately. They're going to pull back a little bit and say, I don't know, let me think this through. And that's been my experience with them. And I've been doing this for almost 30 years now. So I enjoy working with mules. I enjoy, you know, every mule, like people, are a little bit different, and you might have to try different things in different methods of training them to get them to do something where they feel comfortable doing it. And once they feel comfortable doing it, they're good. You don't have to keep retraining a mule like a horse. A lot of times you have to go back and do refresher courses, things like that. With the mule, once they get it, it's done. And that's been my experience with the mule anyway. They're an incredible animal. And once they become, they bond with you, once they bond with you and become loyal to you, you got a buddy for life. Some people prefer the John mules. Some prefer a Molly mule. I have them both. I'm more into the personality of each mule rather than the sex. And I've got a great young John mule right now that I've been working for the last almost year now. And he's just turned out to be one of the best mules I have ever owned. I bought him work and then sell after a year, but I can't bring myself to sell him now. So I like him so much. But he's really bonded with me. Whatever I ask him, he'll do it. He trusts me. And that's the big thing with the mule. Once they know you, once they trust you, they'll go ahead and do what you ask them to do. And not that they might not stop and think something through, but they're not going to go nuts like a lot of times on a horse. So that's been my experience with the mule. That's why I like them. I like the way they think. Obviously, I like the way they ride, a good gaited mule. And I've had them out of walking horses, out of foxtrotters. I've had them out of spotted saddle horses, just about every gaited horse there is. But like I say, each one's an individual. And I've got a Molly mule that's 11 years old. A friend of mine actually gave me this mule about 8-9 years ago. And she didn't have time for her, and she was having trouble with her. Brought her to me to train her for her, and she still couldn't do anything with it. But so she said, "Dave, you just go ahead and keep it." So I've got the mule. She's a racking mule. She does a racking gait, and she can fly down the road as fast as can be. I mean, she's amazing. She'll, I mean, I can stay with the big lick walking horses pretty good with her. She can really move on and just as smooth as silk. So, so I've got the Molly mule and I've got the John mule right now that I'm really enjoying riding. When I talk about gaited, you know, there are all these different breeds of horses. And of course, when you're to get a mule, you have a male donkey, a jack, and you breed that to a mare horse, and you come up with a mule. And you've got all these ungated mares that like quarter horses and just whatever. But I like a nice smooth ride. I have a bad back, and I don't like that bouncing up and down in the saddle. So I prefer a gaited mule. It's a smooth ride, and you're not bouncing in the saddle. You don't have that pounding in your back. So, but a gaited, well, horse or a mule does a smooth 4-beat gait. It's I was taught by an old timer years ago what you're looking for when you're trying to, you know, develop them in their gait. It's that rhythm. It's a 4-beat gait. I'll take you there, I'll bring you home. I'll take you there, I'll bring you home. And once you get them in that flow and hold them in that, and then they realize what you're asking, you know, they're just, I mean, 90% of it's natural. Molly mule I have now, she is all natural. I've never had to hold her in gait. I have to hold her back from flying down the road, but even at that, she's as smooth as can be. But she does a wonderful 4-beat gait. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's I'll take you there, I'll bring you home, rather than a clunk, 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 clunk on a non-gaited mule. So that's probably the best way I can explain it to you. As far as training goes, this is what I am at now. I'm 77 now, and I don't break mules anymore. I had one break me a few years ago and injured me. I'm not even supposed to ride anymore. The doctors tell me I'm crazy for riding, but anyway, that's what I do. I enjoy riding, and I'm on 2 really good, safe mules right now, and I have no fear of them. And now, someone will bring me a mule that they're having trouble mounting for one reason or another. Most of my customers are people who are getting a little bit older, or maybe they've got a problem, a physical problem of some type, and they can't get up in the saddle anymore. And they just love to trail ride. but if they can't get up in the saddle, you can't ride. So what I do is I teach the mule or horse to lie down to mount. And I have a 4-session teaching method. I have a DVD that I sell that shows you how to teach your horse or mule to lie down to mount. And when you're done, all you have to do is tap them on the shoulder. They'll drop like a sack of potatoes. You crawl on and tell them to get up. You can ride off and you ride with your friends again. And once again, I enjoy training. And I've had so many mules through the years that I've trained, and almost all of them, there's a little bit difference in how to get that out of them. And what I enjoy is how to figure to get that out of them, okay? To get them to where it clicks with them, and they'll lay down and you get on and that. So that's what I do now. I teach mules to lie down to mount. I teach them for people, or people can buy my DVD. It's $49.95 through PayPal, the Mule Enthusiast, and anybody can teach their mule to lie down. Anybody that can handle their critter. I've had kids teach them to lie down, and I had a man call me one night when I first started out. He's from Montana, born and raised on the farm that he's still living on, and a big cattle farm. He's 82 years old, and he called me and asked me about my DVD. And how do you teach these mules to lay down? And I knew he was a mule man because he asked a lot of great questions. And when I talked to him, and he told me, he said, well, I'm 82 years old. He said, I cannot get up in the saddle anymore. And he said, I just love to still ride the ranch. And he began to even weep on the phone. He was whimpering, and then he began to weep. He said, I just can't ride anymore. And I assured him, I said, you know, a guy with your experience, you'll be able to do this. So he bought my DVD, and a month later he sent me a picture of his one mule that he taught. He had 6 mules he was going to teach. And anyway, he taught this first mule to lie down to mount, and getting on it, and him getting up, and they rode off on this ranch. And I mean, it did my heart such joy to see that. Here's a guy that couldn't get up in the saddle anymore, and now he's free to go ride again. That's what I'm all about, helping people with their mules. That's what I enjoy doing, and just contributing something to the mule world. Hey folks, if you're watching my YouTube channel and you like what you see, what I'm doing, what I'm trying to convey, would you mind just hitting the like button and subscribing to my channel? I'd appreciate it very much. Thank you.